Hello everyone! Thank you for visiting our channel. Have you ever experienced such life stories? Sophia and James had been married for 2 years already. Prior to that, they had been dating for about 5 years during their university days. When James landed a high-paying job and felt he could take good care of his beloved, he proposed to her. In the past couple of months, Sophia had been facing troubles at work. Eventually, she wasn't too surprised when she got laid off. The woman was simply exhausted and frustrated with the whole situation. Her husband suggested that she shouldn't immediately look for a new job since his salary could support them. He proposed that she take some time off at home, meet up with friends, relax, and then resume the job search. Sophia wasn't very enthusiastic about it, but she agreed. She understood that she truly needed a break, but she wasn't accustomed to being idle for long. Soon enough, she grew bored. Her husband was away from home all day, and her friends were working late into the evening, leaving her with nothing to do. She spent the whole day wandering around the city and returned home in the evening to prepare dinner for her husband's arrival. Overall, James was content, but he could see that his wife was feeling lonely. However, the situation changed one day. Sophia's friend suggested that they attend yoga classes together to have some kind of diversion. Her husband agreed and set aside money for it. Several times a week, they attended the classes together with her friend. There, Sophia made acquaintances with other women, and they would socialize after the yoga sessions. She would return home feeling energetic and joyful. On weekdays, they would usually head straight back home after the sessions, but on Saturdays, they would either go for walks or sit in a cafe with their friends after the class. James was glad to see his wife enjoying life again. The sparkle had returned to her eyes. A few weeks went by, and one day the husband noticed that Sophia hadn't taken her workout outfit from the closet, the one she usually wore for yoga. He even thought that she had missed the class. When his wife returned home, James immediately asked how everything went. In her usual manner, she replied that everything was wonderful and shared a little bit about the session. "But where's your outfit? Did you do it without it?" he inquired. In that moment, Sophia hesitated, but quickly came up with an excuse. "Oh, I recently bought a new costume. You just haven't seen it yet. I wore it for the first time today." "Show me, I'll take a look," calmly said her husband. "It's already in the laundry, let's do it later," she replied and went to take a shower. Surprisingly, the next day, a suit of a different color did appear in the house. It was a strange situation, no matter how one looked at it. But the husband didn't question his wife, considering that if she was hiding something, she wouldn't just reveal it that easily. And one day, James found a thread that could unravel the mystery. He was sitting at home, on the computer, while his wife stood on the balcony, talking on the phone with her friend. He overheard Sophia cheerfully discussing a man named Michael. "Have you seen him in that suit? He looks absolutely stunning," the wife exclaimed in admiration. James managed to catch a couple more enthusiastic comments about Michael. It was clear that Sophia held his appearance in high regard. James tried to remember who this Michael was. His wife had mentioned the name before, but he couldn't quite figure out who he was. But soon he remembered. Michael was their new yoga instructor. Their previous instructor, a woman, had left, and they got a new instructor in their group. Due to his busy schedule, they even had to change their usual class time to a different day. Of course, it bothered James that his wife was discussing another man. But on the other hand, he understood that such conversations among women were commonplace. They were used to discussing everyone, but something told him that this Michael was not just an instructor they decided to talk about. Now he knew where to look. The following weekend, he decided to keep an eye on his wife. He rented a car so she wouldn't recognize their vehicle, and he told her that he was going out of town until the evening to help a friend with house repairs. She was getting ready for her class, said goodbye to her husband, and headed to the sports center. It was a nice day, and they decided to have the class outdoors. James watched them from a nearby street. At first, everything seemed normal until a certain moment. When Michael walked between the rows of students, correcting their posture if they were doing the exercises incorrectly. He paid special attention to Sophia. James frowned in dissatisfaction when he saw Michael's hand linger on her back for too long, but he continued to observe. When the class ended, everyone thanked the instructor and began to disperse. The girls gathered together and started discussing where they would go together, but Sophia separated from them and walked away on her own. Then Michael approached her and they started talking cheerfully. Her friends exchanged knowing glances, realizing that she wouldn't join them, and bidding their farewells, they left. It became intriguing because she had mentioned always staying to spend time with her new friends, but she didn't say a word about the instructor. Michael waited until all the girls dispersed, then he wrapped his arm around Sophia's waist. Whispering something in her ear, they walked away. James got into the car and followed them. The journey was short. They arrived at a residential high-rise building. Michael opened the door, gesturing for Sophia to enter. She joyfully kissed him on the cheek and stepped inside. James didn't need anything else. Everything was clear. She was going to his place, and her confident stride indicated that it wasn't her first time there. Why would a married woman visit a stranger? The answer was obvious. Returning home, James calmly gathered all of his unfaithful wife's belongings into a large garbage bag. He loaded everything into the car and drove back to the house where he had last seen his wife. James arrived just in time. Sophia was coming out of the entrance. "Don't rush," her husband shouted. She suddenly stopped, clearly not expecting to see him here. "I did you a favor and brought all your things. Take them," he said, throwing the bag in her direction. "James, what are you doing?" "I went to visit my friend." His wife could clearly sense that trouble was brewing. "I saw your friend, and she has such a beautiful name, Michael." "You can move in with her," James said, getting back into the car and driving away, leaving his bewildered wife standing there with a bag of belongings. The first thing James did when he returned home was change the locks in his apartment and block his ex-wife's number. Then, with a clear conscience, he filed for divorce. Sophia didn't bother calling her husband. She had enough wits about her. Instead, she actually called her Michael and asked to stay with him. The man didn't expect such a rapid turn of events, but he agreed, partly because everything happened so unexpectedly. However, Sophia later learned that he had a habit of having affairs with his students. Feeling deeply hurt, she left him. She found temporary refuge with a friend, but after a few weeks, her friends started pressuring her to move out. Her friend's own personal life took precedence. As a result, Sophia lost her husband, her home, and didn't have time to find a new job. With disgrace, she had to return to her parents in another city. Why with disgrace? Because her ex-husband had already called her parents and shared all the details. That's the story of her life. The conclusion of this story is simple. When a woman has too much free time, she starts inventing adventures for her own amusement. Share your thoughts in the comments about the situation and the behavior of the spouses, and what you would have done in the husband's place. And thank you for listening to the story until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and be sure to like this video so that more people can learn about the channel. All the best.